up on this edition of the Desert Vision, American soldiers and Kuwaiti police join forces to slow people down, and a female diver sets herself apart from the rest. Welcome to this edition of the Desert Vision. I'm Army Sergeant LaShondra Shaw. In 2012, Kuwait topped the world in traffic deaths. Army Sergeant Chad Guthrie tells us how the Kuwaiti police and U.S. military police are coming together to combat this problem.
493 fatalities a year. That's more than one death a day in Kuwait. The wrecks not only affect the local population, but United States personnel too.
We've had 4 traffic-related fatalities, and we saw a need to make sure everyone was operating their vehicles in a safe manner along the ASRs in northern Kuwait.
So the military police teamed up with the Kuwaiti police to start slowing people down. They handed out citations to anyone breaking the traffic laws. The cooperation helps more than keeping people safe. It also brings a little bit of understanding.
I think it's a lot of team building and a lot of culture buildings and trying to fill some of the gaps that we have between our different cultures, between our language barrier was a huge thing at the beginning, but now it's a lot easier to understand each other and it's a lot easier to communicate, and I enjoy it quite a bit. So,
Lieutenant Colonel Najid Al-Rashidi, head of the traffic department in Jarrah, believes that this partnership is beneficial and hopes that both sides can come together more often.
الزيارات المتواصلة تقرب المحبة بيننا وبين بعض والتعاون وما تعاون.
And does he think it's working to reduce traffic fatalities?
أكيد. أكيد.
Reporting from Jarrah, Kuwait, I'm Army Sergeant Chad Guthrie.
It's not often that soldiers get to solidify their place in military history. Throw in the fact that this soldier, who is not only the 4th, but the only current soldier with this exclusive achievement. Army Sergeant Andre Clark has more.
Every day we wake up, we have the chance to achieve greatness. With greatness comes hard work and training. With Army Dive School training comes sweat and pain, which First Lieutenant Christy Plakis used as motivation.
Like everything in life that's worth having is hard to get to. Everything in life that you're going to want to keep was a struggle.
Growing up in Seattle, Washington, Plakis was dedicated to her family and challenging her body and mind. She didn't know much about the military, but something in her heart told her that this is what she was going to do. Plakis is currently the only female Army diver and the 4th in the history of the Army to complete dive school training. More importantly, she'll be remembered by her soldiers for her blue-collar approach to leadership.
One time we were taking a particularly brutal smoke session, and none of the officers were PTing with us except for her, and she came out for the beatdown and lasted probably about 3-4 hours, and she didn't have to be there.
One mission, one team, one fight, or in this case, plenty of painful exercise.
It actually fueled me. Like it never defeated me. It's like I thrived on it because I'm not leaving. There's nothing they can do. It doesn't matter how much they push me. They can smoke me, 48 hours straight. I don't care. I'm not leaving. I'm just not going to perform as strongly because after 48 hours you get beaten down a little bit. But I'm not going anywhere because I've decided this is what I want to do.
Reporting from Kuwait, I'm Army Sergeant Andre Clark.
We're the Brantley Gilbert Band, and you're watching the Desert Vision.
The sound of music can unite. Army Sergeant Chad Guthrie tells us about 2 bands from 2 different lands coming together to play music.
music. The 1st Infantry Division band left Afghanistan to end their deployment and got the opportunity to play with the Kuwaiti National Guard Band.
To understand them in a different way, you could better understand them by listening to their music. And being here has definitely, showed that to us.
With 2 different languages, it was a day of very little words where the music did all the talking.
I think it's a good unifying thing that we do together. It's something that brings us together and we have a common cause. And it's nice to be able to share that with fellow musicians and also with everyone around us.
Communication is the key to any good relationship, and this was communicating on a universal level.
اللغة الإنجليزية ما هي بيرفكت، ولكن بالموسيقى اللي أنا سمعتها عرفت فهمت موسيقتهم.
Both sides hope that they can come together more often to talk and listen in the one way that connects them: music. Reporting from Camp Samud, Kuwait, I'm Army Sergeant Chad Guthrie.
After 11 years of freedom operations and new dawns, the Department of Defense has a new mission of saving money. Army Sergeant Andre Clark shows us how Camp Arifjan, Kuwait is doing just that.
It's no secret. Installations around the world are looking for ways to save money. That is why the Camp Arifjan, Kuwait community is executing Operation Steel Purge. Steel Purge consists of accounting for and reclaiming excess connexes for repair, repaint, and eventual reuse.
Because every day that we reclaim a shipping container that's being used for storage and put it back into the distribution network, I know that we're saving the Department of Defense and the United States of America money.
Since we are saving money by repairing and reusing connexes, what about what's inside the connexes? Matter of fact, what is inside these connexes?
Anything is possible. When you open the door of a container, is you find out what's inside. Anything is possible. You name it.
Once the containers are opened, items are removed,
you know the drill,
documented, and distributed out for eventual reuse.
We have received these wheel assemblies, and it's very important that we get these back to the warfighter. The process that will go is these wheel assemblies will be transferred over to the TARP program, Camp Arifjan, Tire Automotive Repair Program. There they will inspect the wheel assembly, replace that old rubber, and then put it back into the serviceable warehouse.
Getting the mission done and making do with what we have. From Camp Arifjan, Kuwait, I'm Army Sergeant Andre Clark.
Getting the equipment to the right people is very important in combat. Army Sergeant Catherine Dowd tells us about how the United States and Kuwaiti militaries train together to get the job done.
The U.S. Army and Kuwait National Guard spent the past few weeks participating in Exercise Steel Sentinel. They practice planning for and responding to unexpected events that could occur during joint convoy operations. The 47 transportation company's Corporal Bill Brill found the training to be ultimately rewarding.
We showed them how to drive our trucks. We got to drive their trucks around. But now we're taking everything that they've showed us, everything we've showed them, and incorporating it all together. So.
The culminating event was a convoy rehearsal near Camp Buehring, Kuwait. Both services had to overcome challenges such as language barriers and equipment differences in the convoy. For 2nd Lieutenant Daniel Taberg, the exercise wasn't just about convoy operations, it was about experiencing Kuwaiti culture.
It was a fun exercise. It's definitely, I think I spent the first 2 months, 3 months, Camp Arifjan, go on the occasional convoy. We stay in the back roads, you never really see this country of Kuwait, so it was a great chance to actually get in the city, see the life here.
From driving different vehicles to experiencing new cultures, the soldiers accomplished 2 very important missions.
One is good training, so we're both on the same page. Second one is get to know each other a little bit better.
Reporting from Camp Arifjan, Kuwait, I'm Army Sergeant Catherine Dowd.
I'm Christina Loken, and you're watching The Desert Vision.
Resiliency combines mental, emotional, and physical skills to generate optimal performance. Army Sergeant Andre Clark introduces us to the Army's senior non-commissioned officer who is making sure our soldiers and civilians are ready.
Welcome to our part of the show.
The Sergeant Major of the Army, Raymond Chandler, recently visited soldiers in Afghanistan and Kuwait to encourage and educate them on the Ready and Resilient campaign.
Resilience increases the Army's readiness, and we believe that a stronger Army is going to make us even better than we are today. But I also expect as a leader that you understand and are familiar with the program so that you can help your soldiers get to where they need and their families for additional help, and that will all make us better.
The Ready and Resilient campaign is meant for soldiers, family members, and Department of the Army civilians. The program incorporates resilience as a critical component of soldier and unit readiness. It also emphasizes the importance of physical, psychological, and emotional factors in determining comprehensive fitness. Sergeant Major Chandler is very open about his use of the program and the effect it had on his leadership and current position.
When I got interviewed to be the Sergeant Major of the Army by General Casey, he asked me, among other questions, is there anything that I need to know which could be put the Army in a bad light? And the only thing I could come up with was the fact that I had been in behavioral health care counseling. And he said, that's not a sign of weakness, it's a sign of strength.
I think the number one way that we help, though, is by each of us looking out for each other and being engaged leaders.
From Camp Arifjan, Kuwait, I'm Army Sergeant Andre Clark.
And continuing with building a stronger force, Army Sergeant Bruce Pettit shows us how American soldiers are partnering with the Lebanese Army to build a stronger NCO Corps.
Command Sergeant Major Fournier, the 3rd Army Senior Enlisted Leader, and members of 3rd Army's International Military Affairs Team hosted a non-commissioned officer information exchange with members of the Lebanese Armed Forces from March 18th through the 26th. Command Sergeant Major Fournier said the exchange was about helping our allies develop a more professional NCO Corps.
We export professionalism. That's what we're doing. We're bringing in some friends, showing them how we do things, showing the professionalism, especially of our NCO Corps, and then have them take that back to their nation and exchange it with their leadership, and hopefully they'll be on the path to a more professional NCO Corps.
Designed to show the process of turning a civilian into a soldier, the visit began at a recruiting station and continued through basic training at Fort Jackson, South Carolina. The trip also included a visit to the Drill Sergeant Academy and a roundtable discussion with senior enlisted leaders from the Army and the Air Force. Lieutenant Colonel Chidiak, the Assistant Chief of NCO and Enlisted Training for the Lebanese Armed Forces, also provided an overview of training required to become an NCO in the Lebanese Armed Forces. Lieutenant Colonel Chidiak said visits like this help in the battle against our common enemy.
To fight our mutual enemy, at least we need to have a common language and better understanding of the way we train, the way they operate, and the way we think. And these kind of exchanges always help.
Before returning to Lebanon, the team will also visit Fort Benning, Georgia, and the Sergeant's Major Academy in Fort Bliss, Texas. Reporting from Shaw Air Force Base, I'm Staff Sergeant Bruce Pettit.
Thanks for watching this edition of the Desert Vision. For those stories and more, you can find us on Facebook at www.facebook.com/PattonZone.